Insecurity in north-central region of Nigeria, Benue State in particular now, have left many wondering what measures the state government is putting in place to forestall further attacks on innocent residents and on critical infrastructure in the state. Stakeholders in the state have expressed deep concern over the recent surge in violent crimes, including kidnappings and targeted killings across various communities in Benue State. They describe the attacks as coordinated operations carried out by criminals in collaboration with local informants. For more on this development, Chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Daniel Onjeh, joins me from our Abuja studio. Good to have you join us, Mr. Onjeh. Let's give it to this administration in Benue State. The state has experienced peace. But with this resurgence, does it seem is Benue State back to that state of being the hotbed of violence in Nigeria as witnessed sometime in the past?
Well, I'm sorry, you may have to say it again. I have a little bit challenge with the earpiece here.
All right, Mr. Onjeh, I'm talking about the fact that there have been commendations, for Governor Hyacinth earlier, the fact that the state has experienced relative peace, but we're beginning to see resurgence of violence in the state. And so I am asking, is it that Benue State is now back to being the hotbed of insecurity in Nigeria as witnessed, sometime in the past?
Well, it's a lot better now. If I understand you clearly, you're talking about the security situation in Benue?
Yes, please. Talking about the security situation, is it that Benue State is now back to being the hotbed of violence in Nigeria?
Well, from the heightened and increased insecurity in the state in recent time, it suggests so. But there are very, very concerning angles to this renewed attack on the Benue community. First of all, because I know the time will not allow us to exhaust all that I want to talk about here today, I will go straight to the point of what I will consider as the solution.
We'll get to the solution, Mr. Onjeh. Mr. Onjeh, we will talk about the solution. Let's take it one step after another. So I was asking you whether you consider, that Benue is now, back to being the hotbed of insecurity in Nigeria, and you said something along that line. Just yesterday, 3 fisher women in Sejim, local government area of that state, were actually killed while they were returning from the market. And last Thursday, both the driver and one of the passengers of Benue Link's bus were killed. Others were abducted as some managed to escape, but thankfully those who were kidnapped, have actually now been rescued. What is responsible for this resurgence in violence?
Well, I am one person who wouldn't want to either stereotype or profile any ethnic group in Nigeria. Whether stereotyping or profiling, they're both synonyms and also have a bit of nuance, meaning they are the same but slightly different. Profiling, I think, is deeper on the negative side. That is where the insecurity itself thrives, where there is division among the citizens of the country or indigenes of a state over security issues. This security challenge we have, not peculiar with Benue State, are beginning to assume some troubling dimensions that makes them multifaceted and multidimensional. So you discover that the security challenge in Zamfara is different from the challenge we face in most states in the North Central. different from the ones we faced in Southeast or any state of the Southwest. But the current challenge we're facing in Benue is a mix of external and local collaborators who are terrorizing the communities. Why I said I wouldn't want to either stereotype or profile any ethnicity in Nigeria is because our constitution has a place for criminals in the ilk of terrorists, bandits, and even kidnappers. So I would rather we approach and treat these issues as criminal issues and in pursuant to the provision of the constitution of our land than profile a particular ethnic group. I think the word herdsmen have been over time been used in a very wrong context. If you check the dictionary meaning of a herdsman, it's someone who attends to cows, cattle, and taking it as a preoccupation. So if a criminal element embarks on acts of terrorism, banditry, or kidnapping, and we begin to profile, to say it is herdsmen, same people will hide under that guise and escape justice.
I hear
because
you
are even dignifying them. Because you are even dignifying them, suggesting that they have one form of trade they are doing. There is nobody who is attending to his cattle in the bush that will go there with the sole aim of attacking people or kidnapping. He will rather prepare and go into the field and commit these heinous acts.
I hear you, Mr. Onjeh. I hear you. We really need to move, very quickly because there's a lot we need to cover. Let's talk about the impact that this is having on residents in Benue State. Exactly how is it affected business and affecting communal life there?
Well, definitely, there was a serious pandemonium some days back. You mentioned the kidnap of the boss last week, and then also several other incidences that happened, like a retired controller of immigration who was killed. This is someone who is very, very respected in his community. He attended a local community meeting and made a very courageous suggestion in line with the suggestion that have been made by some heads of security organizations, by people like General T.Y. Danjuma, and several other persons, that citizens should rise in defense of themselves and their communities. So he told the same line to suggest that the youth will have to defend themselves. And 2 days after attending the community security meeting, he was assassinated. He was killed in cold blood. He was attacked. But the good thing is that some arrests were made when the security operatives got a tip, particularly the local guards, the state-owned security guard. They got the tip and they went after these criminal elements in one of the communities in Otukpo local government, and they were apprehended. It is said or alleged that the wife of the immigration controller who was killed identified one of the people arrested now as one of the people that killed her husband because she was at home and she saw it. Now we have a challenge at hand. Every now and then, the citizens and indigenes here, if you see something, say something. Why the security challenge in Benue is most challenging is that the indigenes are making frantic effort to expose some of the collaborators to these criminal elements. And each time they give this useful information, and these criminals, bandits, kidnappers, terrorists are arrested and handed over to the police, they still find them recycled back into the society. Now, for those who went to rescue those that were kidnapped in the bus you mentioned a week ago, one of the local guard in the state recognized someone among those who were exchanging fire with them as one of the criminals they got information about and arrested. And he wondered how that same criminal also was involved in another kidnap. I think the security agencies will have to wake up to their responsibility. I'm seizing this opportunity to call on the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to order the immediate rejig of the security architecture of Benue South. There seems to be something going on there more than meet the eye. Now I give you another instance. Why I said I will not follow the bandwagon of profiling the Fulani people or herdsmen or stereotyping them. We have a situation where it was a Fulani boy living in Otukpo whose parents are genuinely engaged in rearing cattle. And he was the youth leader of the Fulani Association in Otukpo. He gave a tip to the local guards about the danger of accommodating certain elements in the society. He realized or discovered, came into the town and collaborating with some locals on ground. Going by this tip, the local guard went into the hideout, arrested these criminal elements, handed them over to the police. As I speak with you, according to the confessional statement of one of the leaders of the local guards, civil guards we have in Benue South there, he said they didn't hear anything about it again after they were moved from Otukpo to Makurdi. And then next, with the recent arrest that was made, they are identifying some persons among those arrested as being part of the earlier arrests they made. You see, with this situation we have in Benue South and in Benue State, it makes it difficult for any indigene to give information about these people. For this retired immigration controller that was killed, at the meeting where he charged the community to support the youth to defend themselves and the community, there were no headsmen there. Then the big question is, who will have sold him out?
So that's the real question. That is a question, and which we are driving out. Who really is driving this? Do you feel? Do you have any concerns in your mind that there could be people within Benue State who are actually trying to make the state ungovernable?
Well, to answer straight in the affirmative is to claim there is no insecurity. Originally, we know there are insecurity situation in most parts of the country. Benue is not different. The mistake we made, Nigerians made during the Jonathan's administration, we saw, for instance, the Boko Haram issue, the narrative that was being sold was that the security situation occasioned by the Boko Haram was the challenge of the Jonathan's administration. And because we bought into that narrative, the security situation transcended beyond the Jonathan's administration into the Buhari's administration. Buhari's administration tried to grapple with the challenge until the Tinubu administration came on board, and the security situation lingers. So it wouldn't be correct to completely say that there are some people who are behind, but I would rather say that there are people who are trying to weaponize the security situation. Now, we have an anti-open grazing law in Benue, which was established under the Otom's administration. When Padalia came on board, he did not abolish it. But the question is, why is the anti-open grazing law not effective? There are some sacred cow owners. You know, in India, we have the sacred cows. But in Nigeria here, we have the sacred cow owners. Some sacred cow owners allegedly house some of these herdsmen in their open lands to take care of their cattle for them. And they appear to be frustrating or violating the anti-open grazing law. Otherwise, why is it that when some of these criminal elements that hide amongst these herdsmen are apprehended and they are immediately released, none of them, since they've been making arrests in Benue State or Benue South, none of these criminal elements have been tried in the court of law from Benue State, none that we have had. So you see, with this situation,
all right,
an average youth that has a tendency of aligning with this criminal element will rather collaborate with this element and make the stipends they are making than give useful information and later be killed. Because
I hear you, Mr. Onjeh. I hear you. I get your point, Mr. Onjeh. Let's quickly go to the solutions. You've mentioned that it does appear the anti-open grazing law is not working. So what would work in this time? If you can respond in about 60 seconds. Solutions, please.
Sorry, you said what?
I'm talking about solutions. You have, insinuated that the anti-open grazing law appears not to be working. So let's talk about the solutions.
Yeah, the solution. This law that I'm talking about is time for the indigenous cow owners in Benue State to begin to ranch their cattle. Yes, they can employ and engage the services of the Fulani herdsmen to work with them. It is allowed. The herdsmen are citizens of this country and they have the right to move around. No doubt. But these owners, indigenous owners of cattle, should also make sure before they engage any external person to attend to their cattle, they must know their customers, they must have details of information of people they bring in to attend to their cattle, like having their national ID cards and providing it to the government. And I think immediately the government of Benue State also should enforce ranching so that people can ranch their cattle. And on the federal side, because the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces,
all right,
there is over-concentration of power at the center. The federal government alone cannot handle this.
There is need
for devolution of power in terms of the security. So this brings to the front burner again the issue of state police. We don't need a sovereign national conference to discuss the issue of state police.
All right, ranching and state police, you are proposing a solution to this resurgence.
The Nigerian security
in violence
agencies are overstretched and undermanned.
I hear you, Mr. Onjeh. Mr. Onjeh, I really need to come in now. Ranching, state police, some solutions you have proffered there. Thank you very much for talking to us. Chieftain of the All Progressives Congress and senatorial candidate for Benue South in past elections, Daniel Onjeh. Thank you for your time on Beyond the Headlines. Well, that's our program, everyone. A repeat broadcast is at midnight and at 6 a.m. Join me again tomorrow as we dig beyond the headlines. I am Abosadi Adeniwa Duremi.